welcome to episode number 19 of Little Big Knits. My name is Selma, and this is a podcast about knitting, as the title kind of says. I'm coming to you from Ottawa here in Canada, where I live with my family and our cat Yoda. And yeah, welcome. It's been almost 3 months since I last podcasted, so I am feeling a little bit discombobulated, but we'll see how it goes. Thank you for joining me today. If you're a new viewer, thank you so much for checking me out. And if you have been around for a while, thank you so much. I am really enjoying this Little Big Knits community. So thank you for being with me in it. So before I get on to the actual episode, I just wanted to remind you that we have a Summer Fibers knit along going around, crochet along as well, in the group, and this is a knit along for plant-based fibers. So this means that you need to knit an item. It can be anything with more than 50 grams of yarn, and it needs to have at least 45% plant-based fibers, so cotton, linen, hemp, whatever, something like that. So that's going on right now, and it's not too late to join in. It goes until the end of September, I believe. And yeah, and I am recording from my bedroom today, and that is because my house is chaotic. I'm just going to say it that way. There is a lot of stuff in my house right now, and my in-laws are visiting from Uruguay right now as well. So I've been wanting to podcast. I haven't podcasted, as I think I mentioned already, for 3 months. It's been an intense and difficult summer, which I'll tell you about a little bit later. But I really missed podcasting, and today I actually have some energy, and there's a bit of quiet in the house because Isla's in camp and Yaro's working. He will be home soon, but he's been instructed to be quiet. So I thought, hey, let's see if I can pull this off. So here we are. I hope you enjoyed the introduction. Those are just all images from this summer. I love water. I really love deep, cold, sweet water. More than oceans, I have to say, although I totally appreciate beaches and so forth, but I love diving into a cool lake or river. So you've got some images there from the Gatineau River, where I love to swim, and the other river where Isla was fishing, I think is called Beaver Lake, rather not a river, but a lake, where we went for a little camp for a weekend, she and I. And we saw a moose on our way back from another trip where I went to pick her up at a friend's cottage. And yeah, so I just put together a bunch of images for today. So hope you enjoyed that. So today I am going to keep it fairly simple. Last episode I told you that we were clearing out my mother's house, and so I was collecting all these beautiful handmade items. And I've been thinking about putting together a segment in the next few podcasts where I talk about something in particular from the past, maybe call it, you know, makings of the past, or I don't know, something like that. But I really haven't had the headspace to do that, which I'll tell you a little bit about later and you'll get it. So I think I'm just going to keep it as a regular episode for today. Talk about FOs. I certainly have finished objects because I haven't podcasted for 3 months, so I've actually got 3 finished objects. I've got some works in progress. June was my birthday month, and I have to say there were some lovely acquisitions that came my way that I thought I would like to share with you. And yeah, and then I thought I might chit-chat a little bit about what has been going on, which you can stay on for if you're interested in that. So there you go. So let's get started. Let's talk about finished objects first. And the first thing that I have is the Good Vibes shawl that was almost finished the last time I podcasted. That was the wrong side. Here you go. This is so stunning. I am so in love with the shawl, and in fact I wore it the other day We went out to see some theater in the park, and I took this shawl because it was a slightly cool evening. You may recall if you watched last episode that it was almost an FO. I was on the last ridge and I was perplexed as to how it was going to work out. Worked out just fine. The problem was me, not the designer. I was concerned about the last wedge and how it was going to go on all of these leftover stitches, because as you can see, each wedge took up a few stitches along the yellow section, and I thought that the next wedge would finish here, and how was I going to deal with all of these extra stitches along the yellow section? It was just fine. It was meant to go all the way across. So this is a shawl, as I said, it's the Good Vibe shawl by Nadia Crétin-Le Chêne. Beautiful pattern. I'm so happy that I finally knit it because it has been in my favorites for a while. I had received this beautiful fine fish yarn in her Butterball colorway in the singles base that I just loved, and I knew I wanted it to be a 2-color shawl. I didn't have the yarn to go with it, but when I saw this yarn by Hedgerow Yarns on Etsy in her Merino 500 base, I thought that's going to work because it's got little spots of yellow in it. The lighting is a little strong here today. I apologize for it, but as I said, life's a little chaotic, so we'll just have to deal with it because it's an overcast day, but I'm quite close to the window. What if I do this? Is this a little better? So anyway, this is a wonderful shawl. It took a large part of both skeins, and it's just got a beautiful drape. It's a beautiful size. I'm really, really happy with it. So I will be wearing it whenever there is a cool evening, and I just think it's a lovely, light, summery spring shawl that one can wear. Highly recommend the pattern, highly recommend the yarns. They were both wonderful to work with. I mentioned last episode that the yellow by Fine Fish Yarns is a single ply, and the Merino 500 by Hedgerow is a 2-ply yarn, and I was a little concerned about how they were going to work together, but they worked really well. So I'll just insert here a picture of me wearing it so that you can see it in better lighting and warm. So yeah, so this is my first FO. Finished this I think at the end of May, but I didn't get a chance to block it for a little bit of time because it was just too busy around here. My next FO is this top here. This is something that I don't even think I had cast on the last time I podcasted, but I wanted to have a top, another top, kind of in my improvised sweater recipe. I ended up doing a round neck as opposed to a V-neck. You may recall the last time I talked a little bit about that, about the sweater that I was wearing that was gray and it had a V-neck, and it was sort of an improvised design, and there was a white one as well. And so I started this in the same fashion, but I wanted a white sweater, as I mentioned last time, and then I decided to go with pink suddenly. And I made this top. It's improvised, but it's heavily influenced by a top called the Tulip top. I'll put the information down here because I do not remember who the designer is right now. It's a top that it's made out of worsted yarn, it's got baubles on it, and it's got this I-cord. So I took the I-cord idea from it, but instead of baubles, I did just a pearl stitch here and there. I think it was 5 knits and 1 purl, and then 3 rows later, or the fourth row, I alternated so that the purl bump went on the 3rd stitch, and then there were 5 in between, so that it alternated. And this was a Marks and Captain Ecobomul, which is a 100% cotton yarn, organic cotton yarn from Sweden, I believe. And it was a really lovely knit. I have to say, I ended up going back to Quebec City kind of at the spur of the moment because my dad wasn't well, and I took this project with me, but I didn't bring extra yarn, and I was so disappointed because when I finished the ball, I just wanted to continue on it. But that was okay because I had also brought the next FO, and so I ended up working on that. But I really, really enjoyed it, and I'll insert a picture here too because I think standing up is going to disrupt things. So here you can see it as I stand up. I sort of wanted a vintage look to go with the skirt that I had sewn and another one that I hope to sew at some point. So yeah, and again, it's got just a very, very, very slight dolman here. There's short row shaping at the top, and I put a slight rib in here, and there we go. Very pretty. So it's kind of like a cotton candy top. It's extremely, extremely pretty. Right. So the next FO. Oh, but first let me take a sip. And today I'm not drinking tea. It's too hot. We've had a crazy hot summer here in Ottawa. I think in a lot of this part of Canada, in Europe as well, it has been a very hot summer. I think the average temperature has been like 28 or 29 Celsius without humidity every day, and the nights have been hot. So today I'm actually drinking a combination of soda water and elderberry syrup that I got at IKEA, and a little bit of lime juice. So that's what I've got today. It's very refreshing. We love elderberry syrup around here. So the next thing I want to show you is the ouya. So I'll show you a picture here of me standing and wearing it. It turned out lovely. I'm very, very happy with it. I gotta be honest, it was a little bit of a slog at times to knit. It's a lot of stocking knit with fine yarn. But let me talk about the design first, and then I'll tell you a little bit about the yarn. So this is a design that appeared in, I think, the second Making magazine. It's a design by Strick, who is a master of construction. I think this sits so beautifully. And I told you last time that the starting of this top, or this tunic, I'm going to call it a tunic because I didn't quite make it into a dress, was less simple than I thought it would be. It looks like a sort of ordinary top-down raglan construction, but there's actually a lot happening in the different sections of the top in the beginning to build it, but it just sits really, really nicely on top, and I think I would make this, you know, use this again for a future sweater if I wanted to do something different below. But once you do that and you've separated for the sleeves, on the back there's a little bit of ribbing that pulls the back in just a tiny bit, and then there are pockets. It's a little wrinkled because it's been sitting in the closet actually. It's been too hot to wear, to be honest. I've only worn this once, and I haven't even worn this at all because even though it's a wool cotton, it covers a lot. So I sort of have been feeling that it's just too warm to wear it. And then you finish off sleeves, and oh, I forgot to mention that it's got a little bit of a split hem. So it's a very simple, it's a lovely design. I really like it, and I would definitely make it again. It was just working with fine yarn, and it just felt like it was going to go forever, but it didn't, because once I finally got going on it, and I just dedicated some time to it, it got done. It was probably a good thing that I ran out of this pink yarn, because while I was in Quebec City, I ended up knitting on this and getting quite advanced on it. So I really loved the design, highly recommend it. The original design was made out of tuku wool, which is a fingering weight wool, but it is a heavier fingering than this one, and so I think it would have gone faster. I used Holst Garn Coast, which is a 55 wool, 45 cotton blend, and this is by Holst Garn. It's very reasonably priced yarn. I'd wanted to try it for a long time. They have they have more than 3 bases, but the 3 most popular bases are this base, the Coast, then there's one, they've got their lamb's wool, which is 100% wool, and then they've got another wool silk blend, which I think is called Tides. Is it possible? Anyway, I have to be honest, This, when I looked online afterwards in Ravelry comments, this yarn probably got the least favorable comments. They all got lots of favorable comments, but working with this yarn, I found it to be a little bit brittle. So I'm not sure. I have some left over and I'm trying to decide what to do with it, because I'd like to make a short sleeve top out of it, a V-neck Edie by Isabel Kramer, but I'm nervous about working with it as a single strand again, because it is brittle. Working with it was fine, but when I got to about here, I tried it on and I noticed a hole, like an actual hole. It had snagged on something, and I thought, I had an enamel pin in the bag, but like on the outside, and I thought maybe it snagged on the inside, but it actually created a hole. That was fine because it was only about an inch or less than an inch above, so I just pulled back and I fixed it, and I continued knitting. But then when I was almost finished the sweater, I noticed another hole on the back of the left sleeve, which is at the very beginning of the sweater because it's a raglan construction. And so I finished the sweater and my mother-in-law showed up and I asked her to darn it, and she did a really good job. I'm going to show it to you. You can see just a little bit of shadow there, but it was an actual hole, not just a tiny little snag. There were a few rows missing, and she said, oh, I did what I could. And I was like, you did far better than I ever would. So I feel perfectly comfortable wearing this again. So all that to say that there is a little bit of a fragile quality to this, because I certainly don't remember snagging it on anything. I wondered if maybe the zipper had caught or something, but surely this yarn, for example, if the zipper had caught or if it snagged a little bit on the enamel pin, it wouldn't have ripped. This one did, and you really could, I don't have any here, but you really could break it quite easily. When I bought this yarn, I also bought some of the wool silk blend, and I swatched with it for something else, and I realized that it is actually a sturdier yarn than this one. So I wouldn't hesitate using that one. Sorry, my mouth just got suddenly really dry. So yeah, so I would use this yarn again. I think I would probably like to try it double-stranded, because I think it makes a very nice light DK or light worsted weight sweater. I certainly love the feel of it. It's really a beautiful, and their colors are stunning. Like, I have to say, I was so in love with this blue as I worked with it. It was just a very rich color. And so I would definitely order some more. I'm going to do something with the rest of it, probably double-stranded. I probably won't make the Edie. I thought of just trying something with it because I actually have 2 balls left, which are each about 350 yards. So, you know, it's 50 grams with 350 meters or yards. I can't remember. So that is a very light fingering, if not almost lace weight. Actually, I would say almost lace weight. So I have 2.5 left. So, you know, that's almost 1,000 yards left that I could do something with. So we'll see what ends up happening. So, yeah, I would recommend the yarn, but I do think that there's a little bit of a brittleness to it. And I have no idea how it's going to wear. We'll have to see. But I was a bit disappointed because I had wanted this to be something that I just put on over white jeans as I showed it in the picture. And I realized this may not be something that I want to wear absolutely every day. I have a crossbody purse and I thought, oh, that's going to chafe on it. And is that an okay thing? And is that going to cause a hole? My mother-in-law is not here all the time to darn for me all the time. So anyway, we'll see what ends up happening, but I will probably end up wearing this less than I had wanted to wear it as a result of the yarn. So those are the FOs for today. So what have we got in terms of works in progress? Sometimes I find when I finish two different things can happen when I'm finishing a project, especially a sweater. I'm on the sleeves or I'm getting towards the end and I'm starting to think about my next project and I know exactly what I want to make, and I'm itching to get there and I'm starting to swatch with the other project before I finish the one that I'm working on. Or I have absolutely no idea what I want to make next. I want to make all the things, and as you know, I'm not a huge, what would I call myself? I'm a mono knitter or a semi-mono knitter. I'm not a poly knitter. And so I don't like to cast on a whole bunch of things. But when that happens, there's kind of like this sort of feeling of like, and I find myself wanting to swatch a whole bunch of pulling out a whole bunch of different skeins, looking at them, trying to decide, having a list of like 5 or 6 things in my mind that I want to make. And I find that to be a frustrating process. I actually prefer for it to just come to me, and then I'm itching to make it, and I start it when I finish. Excuse my hair flying. I've got a fan down there. We don't have air conditioning, so I rely on fans to keep myself cool. So when I finished this and the ouya, I think I finished this and then the ouya, I really was a little bit at a loss as to what I was going to make next. So I thought, all right, let's pull out an old whip and work on it while my mind and my spirit decide what needs to be knit next. So I pulled out this wonderful project actually that's in this ink bag that I just love, and that was my tender, which you might remember I started at some point. This is a pattern by Manel. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, and I have been wanting to make this for quite some time. So I thought, well, why not knit on this for a little bit, and then the inspiration will strike. I'm sure it did. So I had stopped where this gorgeous little birdie is. Look at this guy, isn't he cute? Is he focusing? So that was one of my birthday presents from my friend Sue, and I put it there to show what I ended up doing. So I actually have I've doubled the size of this scarf, which I hope to finish this fall, but I pulled it out and worked on it a bit, and I have to say I didn't work as quickly as I could have, because honestly I knit a row and I stop and look at it. I don't know if you can see its glory on screen. It is incredible to touch. The colors are just subtle and beautiful, and it's very easy. It's a ribbing with this little lace detail that happens every few rows. And I am knitting it in 2 yarns. One is a Crooked Kitchen mohair in, I think it was called Granny's Linen colorway, which is getting right there. That's the right color. And then the other one is a fondant fiber. I think this was Jasmine Scented Evening in her lace weight, and it's this delicate, that's actually coming up beautifully, delicate beigey pink with little pops of pink and red going through it. And I'm just absolutely loving the way these two are working up together. I cannot wait for this to be finished and to wear it. It's so great. It's really fun knitting shawls, but I started to realize what I actually wear more of is scarves. And so I thought, all right, I think this needs to be the year of the scarf. I think I need to focus on a few scarves. So this will be one, and I have another 2 that I want to make this year or next, but just to focus on getting some scarves, and then maybe making some for other people in the house as well. But I'm really going to enjoy this. I think I'm knitting this on 4mm high-highs, and I think they're high-highs, yes. And yeah, no, it's just been a lovely project, and it was a great palette cleanser while I decided what to knit next. So what did I decide to knit next? I decided to knit the Sunshine Coast by Heidi Kiermaier. I've been wanting to knit that for a while. Lynn, who's also known as Toll Baby, had given me some wonderful linen by Louette called Euroflax, and I'm just realizing I do not have a ball band in here, but it is a spun linen, very straw-like, in this stunning color called Aqua. You saw it in the introduction as I hand wound. I don't know why I've been wanting to hand wind it. One of the reasons I've been hand winding this is because I'm pretty sure it would be unruly. And I have a feeling that the cake would actually just kind of fall apart after a while and become a bit irritating. So I thought I'm just going to make it into balls, which has been a nice, relaxing way of doing it. I hope my son has seen his text. He just came into the house and yelled, "Hola!" So hopefully he'll realize that I am talking to myself here and not to bother me. Anyway, I started the Sunshine Coast, which is right here, out of this Louet linen. It is rolling a lot, and I'm a little nervous about that. The edge is really like rolling. Can you see that? I've decided to not get too upset about it, but I am talking about it, so that means something. Because I'm going to wait till it's wet and blocked a bit, and then if it is still doing this, I might rip this out and do it again, because I did something that the pattern did not call for. I did one row of purl and then a row of knit, and then I bound off, thinking that that would do precisely what I didn't want to do, which was roll, but in fact it's making it flare. I think it'll stop it from rolling, but it's making it flare, I think. So anyway, we'll see. But this has been a very pleasant knit. And we'll see how it ends up. As you can see, I'm on the sleeves. It's got wonderful details that I hope will end up showing up. That's the front with, hello. No, they're there. After all, so there are some of these eyelet details here and eyelet details along the bottom. And the side seam has this zigzaggy kind of thing going on. I don't know if you can see that. So let's see how this works out. I have to be honest, I was thinking, how many garments have I knit in pure linen? I've knit garments where there's a combination of linen with other yarns, and I absolutely love that. But I've only made one other pure linen project, and if you have been with me, if you've been watching since the beginning, you'll know that that was a dud. And it wasn't the linen's fault completely. It was partly that it probably wasn't the right project for it, because it was a V in front and a V in the back, and then it just kind of like fell off, because linen drapes and it's heavy. So, and it you know, it just relaxes and it doesn't really provide any support. So I'm hoping that this will not be the same story. I really don't think it will, because this has a lot of structure to it, this top, and it is, I've already tried it on and it fits really well. So I will be finished soon, I hope. I haven't had that much time to knit this week, but I hope that perhaps today I'll finish this sleeve and move on to the next. It's got sort of three-quarter length sleeves, but I might do them a tiny bit longer. I haven't quite decided yet. So that's what struck. Now, of course, because I'm on Sleeve Island at this point, I have started to think about what my next project is going to be, and it's happening again where I'm just, my mind is going in all sorts of directions. So we'll see what ends up landing. This is being housed in a bag that I made a couple of years ago, and that I really enjoy, that really needs a wash. But I just wanted to show you a pin that I have on it, which is from my first job. I was cleaning out my mom's house and I found this, and I thought, I need to have this and I need to keep it. So I don't know if you can see that. There we go. My first job was at Laura Secord, and there's my name, which is an ice cream, chocolate and nut shop here in Canada. And I was serving chocolate and eating chocolate and serving nuts and eating nuts and ice cream. And that was in a shopping mall that I got that job when I was 16. And somehow the pin has just managed to stick around all these years. So when I saw it, I thought, that's it. I need to carry that around with me. So there's a little blast from the past. The last whip is one that I started when I was in Quebec City. I ended up, as I said, having to go back, and I had this pink sweater. I ran out of yarn, and I was knitting on the blue sweater, but feeling like, oh, I wanted something else. So I ended up going to a yarn store. I went to one called Cœur de Maille, which was a really nice store, kind of closer to the old part of Quebec City. And then I went to another one, and the name is completely escaping me, that is in a shopping center, in the Sainte-Foy shopping center. And it was an unusual store in the sense that a very eclectic collection of yarns. But I ended up buying some sock yarn there. And I thought, I'll make Alejandro a pair of socks, because he was working hard here while I was dealing with my parents' things. And so I ended up finding this Socken Volle color by Comfort. And I just really liked the earthy colors in it. And so I bought that, and I thought, I'll make a pair of socks for Alejandro. I haven't worked on it in a while, I have to be honest, but I will be making these for him. He doesn't actually know they exist, and he's very slowly working on his, but this is how it is coming up. And there's just something very kind of, I don't know, I'm really enjoying that. I think I'm starting to get ready for fall and winter. I've had enough heat now. I'm really liking the earthy colors of this. I ended up buying, because I didn't have needles with me, I ended up buying slightly bigger needles than I'm used to working with. I think these are 2.5s. I usually knit socks on 2.25s. So they're a little bit looser than I'm used to making, but I think they're going to be great. So that's what I have been working on. So as I said, I'm starting to think about what I'm going to make next. I've been thinking about a hat, I've been thinking about fingerless gloves, but two things that I have been swatching with, which are here on the floor, so excuse my bending over. I was telling you earlier that I was swatching with the wool silk blend by Host Garn. And I was swatching it with this stunning yarn that I got at Twist Fiber Festival last year. By the way, I don't think I'm going to be able to go this time, but anyway. I got this at Twist last year, knowing that I wanted to double strand it and make a ranunculus sweater. And so I got the Host Garn, which was kind of a fuchsia color. I should have brought it with me. And I started swatching, and it was just an ugly combination. I think the earthiness of this really beautiful mauve with the kind of brightness of the other one, it just like they canceled each other out, and it just didn't say anything. So I was a little frustrated because I'd actually bought that thinking I would turn it into a ranunculus. And I pondered and pondered, and I didn't want to buy new yarn, and I was sort of mentally going through my stash. And then I came across this yarn, which is, I've got a huge skein of it. This is Wool Mice lace. I didn't tell you what this was. This was Fleece Artist Zambezi, I believe that's how you pronounce it, in their mink colorway. And this is Wollmeise lace weight in their Mausenspannchen colorway. And I'm afraid I've already pulled out the swatch because I'm getting ready to cast on. I sort of rolled them together. So you can see that they just turned into a beautiful color together, a really kind of like, I was so in love with the swatch. The depth of color in it is just beautiful. So you've got the bit of a browniness from the mohair, but then the sort of lavender gray from the lace weight is coming through beautifully, and they're just stunning together. So I'm going to be starting a ranunculus, I think next, with this. However, that doesn't really fit into the summer theme, and I've been trying to make summer projects. I made this top and the ouya top, and I made the Mykonos top, which I showed you last time, and I made the gray and green crocheted bag at the beginning of the year, which I still haven't put handles onto, but I'll show that to you when I finally do. And I thought I really should probably stick with one more summer item, especially because it's so hot. Knitting with mohair might not be the most, I mean, I certainly can't knit on the tender whenever I want, because sometimes it's just too darn hot. So I got a package, oh excuse me, the color keeps changing all the time. I got a package in the mail for my birthday from my dear friend in Germany, and she sent me 2 skeins of this linen by a yarn story. It's Lithuanian linen in this cream colorway. She also sent me another 2 in a kind of peacock colorway that I'm going to save as a giveaway, or as a prize I should say, for the Summer Fibers Cal. And I decided to swatch with this because I already knew what I want in my mind. It's going to be a kind of just a loosely knit, kind of sort of off the shoulder, boxy with slits on the side, layering piece. I would wear a white tank top underneath it, maybe wear it with white pants, and have this. So I've just been swatching with that and seeing how I like it. And I decided, at first I thought I might do it as a raglan, then I realized I didn't like it as a raglan, so I went back to stockinette stitch. And I might actually go up a needle size so that it's a little bit looser. Yeah, that's what that's going to become. So which one is going to get cast on first, the ranunculus or this cream colored layering top? I do not know. We'll have to see. At first I thought it was white, and then I realized this is not white, it's cream, but I think it's all right to wear cream over white. I think I've decided that it's okay. I have to say I wouldn't have always said that was okay, but I think that this will look nice with it. So those are 2 things that are probably going to happen soon, once I finish the sleeves on the Sunshine Coast. So I may as well show you the package that Dana sent. Completely out of the blue. I'm not even sure that Dana sent it for my birthday. I was not expecting this at all, and it came in this box. And I was just blown away. First there was the linen, which I showed you there are 2 skeins of, and this is the other color, which is, oh my gosh, that's beautiful. This is going to be, there are 2 of these, and this is going to be part of the Summer Fibers prizes, which I haven't shown all the prizes to you. Knowing that I love linen, there was a lot of linen in this package. This is 100% linen, but it's a chainette construction, and this is by Schoppel, and it's El Lineo. Very, very excited to try this. Now, it says that it is, does it say that it is a DK? But it looks awfully narrow to me, or fine, so I'm not 100% sure. But there are 3 skeins of these. But then she sent me this other yarn that I have to say I look at this on a regular basis, because this is probably my favorite. I find it hard to say a favorite, but this is a color that's in my top 3. How about that? This kind of stormy gray blue. It's coming up a little bit more blue on the screen. This is a Colori Naturali. So this is Italian natural yarn that is 100% hemp. And the color is Profundita Marine, and it was tinted with Campeggio. Not quite sure what that is, but it's a naturally dyed hemp yarn, and it is so beautiful. And I actually thought these 2 things went stunningly together. So at some point I'm going to have to swatch, and I actually thought that this would be nice as sort of lace on top, and then the body in this. Of course, I think garment, but anyway, she sent these to me. And then she had gone to Iceland, and I think we had been discussing the fact that I really wanted to try Floki Loki, so she sent me some of this. This is an unspun yarn, and I'm extremely excited and slightly nervous to try this out. And I've been thinking about either making a hat or mittens. I think it would be really nice as mittens. And it seems that even though it's extremely delicate to work with and just falls apart just like that, look at, oh, not so bad. You can see that the strands, I don't know if you can see that, the strands are kind of, it's just very, it's applied. Apparently, once you knit with it, it is a strong fabric. It creates a strong fabric. So I'm very much looking forward to trying this fall. So thank you so much, Dana. So I took that as it was part of my birthday month. In my birthday month, my friend Sue, the Two Tangle Skeins, gave me some stitch markers. I showed you one of them, and some progress creepers, but she also got me 2 skeins of woolen rind yarns. And actually this would have gone beautifully as well with the with the wool mice lace. This beautiful mohair called Thaw by Kristen of Wool and Vine. It's, and the color is coming up, at least on my end, really beautiful and rich. But not just one skein, another skein of her Nouveau base, which is a superwash merino, single ply, in this stunning color. This might go into a scarf. They could be put together, but I actually feel like they need to be separate. I don't know, I might try them together, see what happens. Just stunning. So thank you, Sue. I haven't even had it, well, I haven't had a chance to show these, but it's a really beautiful color. So these are wonderful, and I really, really enjoy Kristen's yarns, as well as Kristen and her podcast. Then I got myself a couple of things. You've perhaps already seen these sock blockers. These are the most delightful sock blockers, and I have to say, they come from Norway. They're made by Patricia, who has, well, she's known as P4Chen on Instagram, and also known as Knitography, and she's a podcast called Knitography, and she is selling these wonderful handmade sock blockers and mitten blockers that she makes herself out of birch wood from her forest behind her home or around her home, and she sands them herself, and she applies beeswax to them, and they're absolutely stunning. And it's a wonderful, precious gift to give yourself or somebody else. They're really beautiful, and I actually want to put rope through them and put them on the wall when I'm not using them, because I think they need to be looked at. When I received the package, there was also a beautiful little pin with a mitten on it that I haven't put on a bag yet. When I opened the package, what a sensation. The smell was incredible. That was the thing that struck me the most. It took me right back to Finland. It was like I was in the woods in Finland or in a sauna or something. It was just beautiful smell. It has dissipated a little bit, but it was beautiful. And so I gave these to myself as a bit of a birthday present. I also got the most recent edition. Actually, I think there's another one coming out of Len, and I gotta be honest, I haven't looked at it in a little bit, so there's not a whole lot that I'm going to tell you, but there are stunning patterns in here yet again. So we'll see what I end up making from it, but it's a beautiful edition. And then when I was in Quebec City, I said I went to this store called Coeur de Maille. They had the latest Pom Pom Quarterly, which was a summer one. You may have heard, if you happen to watch any other podcasters, who may have gotten it. I've never bought Pom Pom Quarterly, partly because I rarely see it, but there's never been enough for me to invest in it. But this one is amazing. If you are interested in knitting a summer sweater of some sort, this is the one that I really bought this for. I love this sweater. In fact, you can't quite see the detail. And I actually started swatching for it, and I realized that I didn't have the best yarn for it. What's beautiful about this sweater is the subtlety. It is a striped sweater that's striped in multiple different directions here and there, and it's made in a pale pink and a beige. And I had a blue and white, and I realized, oh, it's not going to give the vibe of that. So I decided I'll wait. But that is one of the sweaters. There's this one too that I really like, that I thought I might actually make in the blue and white that I have. But there are just so many interesting sweaters in this one. I really love this one. I don't think that I would make it in black and white, but it's just got this little bit of a visual thing happening on it with the different stitches. And I just love the shape. They're just really fabulous sweaters. This is adorable bag. So if you're one to collect cotton yarns for even, you know, washcloth making or whatever, this is a great thing to do with cotton that happens to be lying around. This one, honestly, there are so many sweaters that I want to make. So many great tops in here. It's just chock full. Oh, here's a better picture of this one. You can see that it's got stripes happening, and there's like a center panel, and then it goes out on the sides. So I really enjoyed this edition, I have to say. Very much. And so that's pretty much what I got. I didn't buy myself any yarn for my birthday. Well, that's not true. Sorry, I just lied. I did. It's just that it only just arrived. I was watching the Little Tailoress, who is a yarn dyer, and she also has a podcast. And she had made the boho chic shawl by Andrea Mowry, and it was just stunning. She made it in a pale peach color, and I actually thought about it for a couple of days after I watched her episode. And then I happened to be on Etsy, and Hedgerow Yarns, whose yarns I also used in this shawl here. I just happened to go to her shop, and she had the most perfect peach yarn. There it is. It's coming out a little bit blown out, but this part right here is about it. It's just a stunning pale peach. Let me see if I can find the spot where the color is great. It's not going to come out. It's a little bit blown out. So it's just a stunningly subtle color, and I just thought, that's it. I'm going to make a very similar shawl. This is her luxury alpaca base. It's an alpaca silk cashmere blend. I don't even think I realized that when I bought it. I was just like, that's the one I want. And it is absolutely rich and delightful, and will be a stunning shawl. So I cannot wait to make that. There is her label. So that I bought myself. I bought something else, but I'm not going to show it to you right away, because I thought I would share with you a little bit of the sewing that I've been doing. Nothing finished yet, but I'm taking a sewing class, and it is to make the Moneta dress, which is a dress that has been made by many, and they have to be given the class, and it's a jersey dress, and I thought that's perfect. It's got set-in sleeves, which I've never done. It's made out of jersey, which would totally intimidate me otherwise, and so I decided to take the class. And the first class was this last week. The only thing we did so far was we started the bodice. So I bought this fabric, and I was kind of like, I bought it because I really liked it, and then I thought, am I going to wear a dress in this? This is crazy fabric. But I actually really like it, and I think it actually works as a dress. And this fits really well. I'm very excited. Doing set-in sleeves is a little finicky, but it's not that hard. And I'm noticing a little mistake here, but we actually did this with basting stitches because we just wanted to make it and fit it and make sure it works and fits, and it does. Then I thought, I really want to have a cardigan to go with this. So I went to Wabi Sabi, which is my local yarn store, and it's a lovely shop. If you're on Instagram, I sort of did a poll because there were two colors. There was a dark green, which would have been like a really dark green, which would have been lovely to go with this. But then I saw this, and somehow this was what got voted. It came out a little bit more pink on Instagram than in reality, but I still really like it. It doesn't completely match that, but that's okay, because all the pinks that I found that matched that, it was just a little bit too, I don't know, too bubblegummy or something, whereas this is kind of deep. And I'm going to be making a little cardigan, just a little shrug type cardigan, 3/4 length sleeves to match the sleeves on this, up to the waist to wear with this, but I realize this will also go with another dress that I have in my closet that I wear a lot in the winter. And so I think that will work, right? It's gonna work, right? I think so. And if I start swatching and I realize, uh-oh, then I'll probably go back and get the dark green, which was like, it was like the darkest green in here and even a little bit darker. It was actually really dark, which would have been nice as well. So this is on its way. I'm very excited. The teacher was great. I'm taking it at a store here in town called Fabrications, and she makes a lot of clothing for local shops, for a couple of local shops that sell sort of indie maker clothing, and so it's really fun, and I really enjoy sewing in a group. I find it's something, first you need the physical space. So sewing at home, I've been wanting to sew, but I haven't had the mental space or the physical space because, as I said, it's been a bit chaotic. But things are getting a little less chaotic, and so I'm hoping to start finding the physical space to actually start sewing. And I decided to actually get this going, and I actually went to my neighbor's house. She's away, and she said I was welcome to go over, and I thought, well, there's nobody there. There's, you know, the table isn't cluttered with people's things, and I thought I'm just gonna go and cut out a couple of patterns and cut out some fabric and at least get that done. And then I decided to go back to Fabrications, because you can just go and pay to sew there, and I thought I don't have to deal with, like, my sewing machine is kind of in an awkward space right now. And so I've started making this top. This is New Look 3712. It's a pattern that has, at this top, it has a kimono jacket, it has a simple pencil skirt and pants. It's got 4 patterns in it. They're all very simple patterns. And I haven't gotten very far. And it's very wrinkly. I bought this cotton voile fabric last year. And I still hadn't done anything. So I'm just finally getting to this. And I've sewed that together. I've done the sleeves. I had sewed the sides together, and I was about to do the bottom hem when I realized I thought this top was a little wide. So I actually cut it a little bit narrower, and I'm gonna go back this afternoon or tomorrow and do a little bit more sewing. I need to make the bias tape to do the collar, and this pattern has a little slit at the back that you then do a loop with a button. So it's a work in progress, and let's see how it goes. I'm excited to be doing something without being in a class, and for some reason sewing is very intimidating for me. And yesterday I was freaking out on my way to the sewing shop, and I just thought, Selma, just do it. So I'm just doing it. So that's the sewing I have to show for now. Hopefully the next time I podcast, this dress will be finished, and I may have cast on a cardigan to go with it out of that yarn. And there you go. So that seems to cover all my making. for today. So if you're not interested in listening to the more personal section of the podcast, we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for joining me today. Partly I have been hemming and hawing about podcasting, in addition to just not being in the best headspace, just because it's going to be kind of hard. And I don't know how much I'm going to tell you. I'm going to allow myself to just talk and stop when I feel like I have to. But yeah, I just thought I wanted to share a little bit. First, before anything, oh no, I'll leave that for the end. So I just wanted to share a little bit about what's been going on here. The last time I podcasted, you know that I was going to be taking Yato to a soccer tournament in Boucherville, and I'm going to share a little bit of footage of Boucherville at the end for a viewer who had expressed that she had historical family connections to Boucherville, so that was really cool. So I made sure to get some footage for you, and I'll put that in towards the end. And by the way, Yato's team won the tournament, so that was pretty darn cool. They were on a high, and they were playing well. It was really, really fun. And I also shared that we were in the process of putting my mother's house on the market, so that was a lot of work. It was a house that was full of stuff and needed painting and a pretty thorough cleaning. So we got all that done, and we put the house on the market on June 15th. So that was great, and the house actually sold within the first week, and so that was wonderful. Unfortunately, on June 15th, my father went into critical care. I posted in the Ravelry group that my father was in palliative care, and I just want to thank all of you for your wonderful, wonderful sentiments. It was a little overwhelming for me, and I didn't respond. And so I ended up spending those days in Quebec City. And that's when I brought this, and I didn't have enough yarn, and I ended up working on the ouya, and my father ended up passing away on June 25th, 10 days later. So it's been a tough summer. I have been, of course, dealing with the sadness and the mourning of all that, and but also I am an only child of 2 single parents, so I am the one who does everything. And so I've been dealing with his estate. It's huge to deal with somebody's estate, their car, their insurances, their different bills, their bank accounts, their houses. So his house is now on the market. I went a couple of times with friends and left Alejandro here with the kids, and we worked on his house. And it is now on the market, and there is an offer, so we'll see if it gets sold. It's been a really, really emotionally challenging time, I have to say. I honestly, I didn't realize the depth of the layers of losing a parent. And I honestly, I have to wonder, I just don't think I would have quite understood it. So it's been a real process. It's been hard, not gonna lie. But I do feel that it's been an important process as well. You know, it's funny because I think when you're mourning, you can think that perhaps you're getting depressed, but I think it's just really important to be sad. It's important to be sad for all the things that have gone, all the things that never happened, connect with the memories, the people. So it's been an intense summer. Things are starting to come towards the end for his estate. The will was all, the will search was done, so once that was done, I was able to actually put his house on the market. I'd gotten a land survey, I'd gotten a real estate agent. You know, I was able to transfer the car, deal with his bank accounts. It's been, I can't believe the number of things you have to do. And so I have to say I've spent days doing things and then days where I'm a basket case. So yeah, so that's what my summer has been like. Dotted with beautiful things, dotted with a moose sighting and swimming and gardening and hanging out with friends and family and so forth. So, but it's been a tough one, I gotta be honest. So thank you to those of you, because I did post on Instagram. I know that some of you who watch the podcast are not in the Ravelry group and not on Instagram necessarily. I did post on Instagram, and thank you for all the beautiful comments. So there you go. There will be a way forward. And knitting has been, honestly, a savior. I realized during this time that knitting will often take me into this kind of semi-meditative state. And I say semi because I'm still connected to what's going on, but it really does, like, it really is a place I go to relax. And so that has been wonderful. Knitting has been my savior during this summertime. And yeah, so there you go. I'm going to stop there. But all that to say, I think I may have said it at the beginning, my father was a maker as well. He was an architect, so he drew a lot, obviously, but he also made most of the furniture in his house. But he was a maker to the core. He would buy shirts, and he was, if the length of the sleeve wasn't right, he would actually take the cuff off and modify it. So he was a more daring sewer than I was. He would take pieces of clothing and make caps. He wove ties, and so I will show those to you at some point. And it's been wonderful to go through his things and relish all those aspects of him. So yeah, and so I will have hopefully next time a little bit of a blast from the past type of segment. There's so much to share that I definitely won't share it all, but there is weaving in my family and embroidery and knits from my little childhood, my mother's sweaters from when she was a teenager that she made, all kinds of things. So I thought I will start adding little tidbits here and there of other makings that can inspire us from previous generations. And yeah, so that's it. Thank you very much for being here, friends. I got through that. I wanted to share it, and at the same time, I didn't want to be a complete basket case, and maintain some decorum, so hopefully I did. I thank you for watching me and watching the podcast and joining in. Thank you for all your contributions and comments and your likes and subscribing, and we'll see you next time. I'm going to be leaving you with some footage from Boucherville, as I said, as well as some other footage. And last night, actually, just before I head off, we went to see a tango concert here in Ottawa. And it was an instrumental group, but they had a singer who is originally from Uruguay but lives in Toronto, and he was an amazing, amazing tango singer. So I'm going to leave you with one of his songs because it was just so great. And if you happen to be from Uruguay, you'll know that there is a real piece of Uruguay here in Canada, because the language and the songs is totally Uruguayan, or from the Rio de la Plata area. And so I'll leave you with that as well. So I send you all good wishes. I hope that you are crafting and or enjoying whatever it is that you're doing, and may life be treating you well. Until next time, bye-bye.
el raro bicho que te ha dicho, che, pebete, que pasó el tiempo con el firulete. Por más que ronquen los merengues y las congas, siempre buen tiempo para milonga. Vos, deja nomás que algún chavo chamullea el cohete y sacudile tu firulete. Este arabesco que en el alma la milonga nos bordó y es el compás criollo y se acabó. Pero escucha, fíjate bien, prestale mucha atención, que a la baticia ya no igual a este compás compadrón. A ti por Dios y este compás repicadito y dulzón no burbujea en tu piel y te hace más querendón. Pero escucha, fíjate bien, préstale mucha atención, que a la baticia este compás no se clave el reventón. Ese clavel es el balcón, es el percal, el arrabal, el callejón, y es el loco firulete de algún viejo metejón. Vos, deja nomás que algún chabón chamullea el cohete y sacudile tu firulete. Este arabesco que en el alma la milonga lo bordó y es el compás criollo. Thank you, Ottawa. Y si acá